That's what's amazing about what's happening online and with YouTube
Mhm.
and with Twitter is suddenly the amount of people who can share what they're doing is
Yeah.
growing in like exponentially. It's so much easier now to record your screen or to take a video and put it up on YouTube, and you can learn the expert workflows of someone who's like specializes in a certain type of car or someone
Yeah.
who's using the productivity app you want or anything really. It's really
Yeah.
cool to see.
This morning I went for a walk just before this talk. I just arrived from my walk, and I put your conversation with Michael Ashcroft.
Mm.
I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but
Yeah, that's right.
amazing insights, like such a nice conversation. And I saw you guys talking about that, and I completely agree. And another thing that you mentioned there in this conversation was how my experience on Twitter is amazing because I basically surrounded myself with people that I like and appreciate and
Yeah.
admire, and uh, and no surprise if you surround yourself by people who are who are bringing you stuff that you don't really engage with. Of course, you're gonna have a bad experience, and uh, and yeah, and I find it's amazing. It's like for someone like me who grew up. I'm 43, so I first time I used internet was in my first year in university.
Mm.
There was still no commercial internet in Brazil. This is 95. Commercial internet in Brazil started in 95, but at uni we started a bit earlier. And I remember we went to these text-based chats
Yeah.
with people from other universities in Brazil, and that always fascinated me. And now we can have that, but in a real like video, audio, screens, whatever. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I
it's
find it's
incredible.
amazing, and and I'm in the same boat as you. What you're saying, like I want to do something in that space as well. I want to create something, but I'm still waiting. I was still waiting for a call to arrive in some
Mm.
sense. Like I'm still waiting to see what I really want to do and what would be my best contribution to this space.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons I'm doing these conversations and making them in public is because I feel like by doing that maybe maybe I'll come across what I'm called to do or
Mm.
what I should be doing.
Yeah.
It's funny you talk about how amazing Twitter is for us too, and it's like they say you're like the five people you spend the most time with. Well, I think your
Mm.
your your Twitter feed is like the 500 people you follow the most. I think somebody wrote an article about that. I'll link it here. But yeah, you tell people like how amazing Twitter is, and they go, "What? It's just
Yeah.
full of like politics and people yelling at each other." It's like
Yeah.
you have an
And social.
opportunity to connect with like people who are interested in exactly the same things you are, and it's
Yeah. Yeah, and you talk about, and I completely agree with you guys. Like you tell this to people, and they come with you with these, no, social media is toxic and stuff and stuff. Yeah, of course it can be, but you have a lot of power on that.
hmm,
You as the user, like it's probably a complicated discussion, right? If you go into algorithms that are running these things, that's something that we don't have a power right now.
yeah,
And I do believe these things should be much more transparent. You should be, and I read something the other day that every time you read something in a social media, you should have the ability to click and see why you're
hmm,
seeing that. And I think that would solve a lot of problems. But of course, it removes power from these corporations. So I don't know if we're going to converge to that, but I think that's a good solution. Like I'm happy with algorithms suggesting me what to see and what to listen, as long as I know why they're suggesting that.
yeah.
Like for example, I've been watching lots of talks by Alan Watts recently. And I love that I open my YouTube and YouTube suggests me a new talk. And I find that's great. I'm not against algorithms,
Yeah.
but I want them to be more transparent.
Yeah, for sure. I think, the thing that gets me is when the algorithms are optimized for engagement or some other metric that's not good for the end user, right?
Yeah.
It's much it's a much better business model for Twitter to say make people angry with tweets. They know how to do that, right?
Yeah.
You can run a sentiment analysis on a tweet and go, oh, this is like this kind of tweet will make people angry, so we'll show it to more people. And suddenly you're playing with the emotions of thousands of users with
Yeah.
one decision that might increase your ad revenue, but it's not the best
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the people using it.
And again, like when you think of you guys just went through a very complicated election, right?
Mhm.
But I will try to escape this conversation because I don't know much about it. But if I look back in Brazil, where we elected someone who is clearly not prepared for and who is directly responsible for us being in a situation much worse than we could have been. And social media had a major impact on that. So we're not talking about something that has no serious consequences. It does have lots of serious consequences. So it's a discussion that we as human race, we need to have.
Mhm.
It's not like the denial and saying, oh, we need to, everybody needs to quit social media. And I think that's such a simplistic approach to the big question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how can we make it so that everyone is having an experience like we are on Twitter, where the engagement is exciting and interesting things and wholesome, right? How can we bring the rest of the world to that sort of experience on social media instead of it being divisive and angry and all this other stuff?
Yeah, I really think transparency is key. Like, and of course, my PhD is actually in business administration, even though I was doing mathematics.
I didn't
But
know
the
that.
type, huh?
I didn't know that. I thought it was
Yeah,
engineering or something.
what I do optimization in North America is often studied in business schools.
Hmm.
But I know nothing about business apart from the fact that these a company needs to make a profit. So, uh, of course, we need to take this into consideration, but it's more than that, right? We are getting
Yeah.
to the point that these social media or this stuff are deciding the way the world is running. So, as human race, we need to have a discussion.